Ready to fly your airplane to Cancun? Let's find out what it takes for U.S. pilots to fly through Mexico on this episode of In the Hangar. Bienvenidos a In the Hangar. I'm Christy Wong.
I'm Dan Milliken. We're going to get comments for that one for sure. In the Hangar, I'm not going to do it in Spanish, is sponsored by Gold Seal and iFly GPS. And another sponsor that we have is Flying Eyes, which I am so thrilled that we have a guest who did what I did. There are not ophthalmics available yet, but yet he is wearing clear glasses from Flying Eyes. Ranferi, thank you for being here.
You're welcome.
What made you think to do this?
Well, unfortunately, I found out since about 5 years ago that my eyes don't work as good as when I was younger.
Okay, right. I
So
know that feeling, yeah.
I started having issues flying at night specifically, and I started researching what condition I could have had, and I think I have astigmatism.
Right.
So I reached out to a friend who works in the glasses industry, and he confirmed that I needed glasses, and I reached out to Flying Eyes, and I've bought about 3 pairs already, and I wear them every day. These are my everyday glasses.
Yeah, these have become my everyday glasses. I used to have others, but I got these from Flying Eyes because, these, it's just amazing and how comfortable they are. And yeah, anyway, that's not why we're here. We're here to talk about flying through Mexico. So, Christy?
It is my understanding that you do a lot of flying into Mexico.
Yes, I was just in Mexico about 4 days ago. I flew for a day, came back the next day. That's typically something that I do. I go for tacos or to
Really?
see family or just for fun. I've been to Mexico many times just because there's a concert that I want to go to. So I just get the Cherokee, fly to Mexico, and come back the next day.
So you're not talking about like flying a big airliner to Mexico. You're in a Piper Cherokee.
Correct. Yes.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, let's talk about that.
Yeah.
How does one fly into another country like Mexico? I mean, we say Mexico too, but just because it's the closest here to us in Texas, what does it take to fly into Mexico?
So it takes a lot of work when you do it for the first time. Eventually, once you know the process, it's quite easy to the point where you can just decide to go this afternoon once you have your paperwork ready. The first time that I flew, I did research for about 2 months. I hired CFIs in Mexico who taught me about the regulations, the differences between Mexican airspace and the U.S. airspace. I spoke with lots of friends, airline pilots, and I read a lot of books. I had resources from AOPA, Caribbean Sky Tours, and Baja Bush pilots.
Okay.
And again, it took me about 2 months, and I got it down, and eventually I did a trial run to Monterrey, Mexico, and it went perfectly well.
Wow.
What was the work? You said it took 2 months. What would it take right now for me flying my Cessna 210 to go into Mexico? What is the work?
All right, so first of all, your airplane needs to be ready. For that, you need what is called a CBP decal. You can get that from the CBP website. It costs about $30, but it does take about 2 to 3 weeks for that to be shipped to your house.
Okay.
You need that. You need the FCC radio station license for your airplane. That would run you down for about $170.
Ouch. Okay.
And you can download that immediately after you pay the government.
But is that good forever?
Good question. For the aircraft, it's good for 10 years.
Okay.
For the that's the FCC radio station license. The CBP decal is only good for 1 calendar year.
Oh,
So you
Okay.
have
It's
to
like a
renew it.
boating registration.
that makes
You
sense.
actually get it from the exact same website as,
Oh, wow.
as from the boating.
Well, I asked that because I have an old one on my plane from a previous owner. So there's one left there. So I've seen that before.
I had a Canadian one on my airplane because she actually came from Washington State.
Oh, wow.
And
So
they
they
used
would
to
fly
fly
that
her up
border.
to Canada. Yeah.
Okay, so a decal on the plane, radio station permit for the plane. What else?
So you need 12-inch N registration numbers. So the older airplanes may have those smaller N numbers. You need to have the standard 12-inch numbers.
Okay, I'm good on that.
Yeah.
And you need to have your aero documents, the airworthiness, registration, all of that. All of that will be required. You need to have insurance, and the insurance needs to specifically say that Mexico is covered under the territory.
Oh.
And what I've actually found is that 99% of all our insurance already have that verbiage.
Okay.
So you don't need to buy anything extra, but you can buy supplemental insurance in Spanish saying that you can fly your airplane in Mexico.
Okay. All right. Good. What else?
You need a 406 ELT. So those are the newer ELTs that work with satellites. The old 121.5 ELTs are not good in Mexico anymore. And that's really about it. There was a mandate.
406.
There was a mandate for ADS-B, but that got pushed back to 2022. So you don't.
But when that happens, will it be the same ADS-B I already have in the U.S.?
So as it stands, you need to have the 1040 or 1080 ADS-B because there are two bands.
Right.
I can't remember the name of the bands.
It's only one of the band.
Yes, but it's the one that's used for international flights. I think the UAT band is for domestic flights only.
Okay.
Interesting.
I think a lot of the newer or the bigger transponders are doing both, right?
Yes, the Garmin 345,
Which is what I have.
GTX will do both, so you're good to go.
What about the Stratus transponder?
If it's, I think that one's good to go as well. I know for sure those tail beacon ones,
Right. The
Those do not
Uvonics or
work.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
those are only the single band, so those as it stands do not work. However, there is a work effort being done by AOPA and the Mexican government to allow those. So it might be that they'll allow that eventually.
Because you got a year and a half before that happens anyway. All right. So what else?
So as far as the airplane, that's pretty much it. You just need to have your paperwork ready. As far as the pilot also needs an FCC license, which you get from the same website. And once you have this license, that one is good for life. So you don't need to renew it.
How easy is that license? And how expensive? Is it just pay the money and get it just like the
Yes, so
station?
there is no test whatsoever.
Oh gosh.
You just-
Okay. So it's just a tax.
just
Is really
pay-
what it is.
You
Yeah.
just pay the, I believe I have mine here actually. This is what it looks like. That's my personal.
Yeah, I had to get one as well. It's a little terrible navigating the
I was
website.
about to say that the website is extremely hard to navigate. It always takes me forever to figure out how to do it when I'm helping someone else.
Yeah.
But eventually, once you know where to click, it's pretty easy.
You know how I figured it out? There's a Reddit thread.
Oh, really?
Yeah, on how to do it because I was so lost. But in the U.S., all of our written tests and whatnot incorporate questions for the FCC license, and so
And
we
what's
just
the
paid money.
website again?
For the license,
Uh-huh.
I don't know it. I know it's on the FCC
Okay.
website.
I'll tell you what. I'll research it and put it in the description, the
that's
links
part
below.
of the problem that the website itself. It's a long string.
It's a very long.
Okay, so
website.
I'll do a link in the description below so that you guys can see. So go below and yes, sir. Okay. So all right. So what else? I mean, you're scaring me. If you've got on this table huge books of, I can see.
So this is the equivalent of the AIM, the FAR AIM in Mexico. This one here, which is volume 1, contains all of the ICAO and all of the regulations for flying in Mexico.
Hold it up just a little higher. There we go.
And then you have all of the approach plates as well for Mexico.
Oh, they give you all the approach plates.
Yes. So I subscribe to the Mexican Aeronautical Information Manual. I believe that's what this is called. Just so that I can stay informed with what's new as far as regulations go. But for practicality, I fly using Jeppesen charts.
Okay.
Question. I noticed that this is all in Spanish.
Yes.
Is there one that we can order that's in English?
No. So
Awesome. Okay, that's good to know.
the actual approach plates are in both English and Spanish.
Right.
However, the information, the equivalent of the aim and regulations are only in Spanish. And for that, you need to subscribe to Jeppesen, and Jeppesen has all of that translated.
It's all in Spanish. I need to go back to Duolingo, I think. Okay. That's really interesting.
Wow. Well, speaking of that being in Spanish, does that mean, I've heard that, internationally, all the controllers are supposed to be English, but is that true in practicality as you've been flying?
Yes.
Of course, you speak Spanish, so it's not a big
Wait.
deal, but,
Does he speak Spanish?
Sí, claro que sí.
Okay, there you go.
well, earlier, right? Yeah.
Okay.
I wasn't being that way.
So so all of the controllers speak English. They have a certain level of aviation lingo that they know. If you ask something super complex, they may need to hear it again slower, or sometimes they just won't know. But for me personally, as soon as I cross the border, I speak in Spanish to ATC just because I like to try something new and different.
Okay.
And that was also a challenge. Even though Spanish is my native language, I had to learn Spanish for the aviation lingo, which
Oh.
they use different terminology as well.
Absolutely. I mean, aviation is its own language on its own. I am a native English speaker, obviously, but learning aviation language, it was completely different. I have nothing but respect for foreign pilots who come here with English as their second language that then have to learn aviation English. I mean, that to me just blows my mind. I don't know if I could do it. It'd take a really long time.
Yes.
Okay, so flying into Mexico, we talked a little bit about the controllers and whatnot. How easy is it to navigate the airspace there?
It depends if you're flying VFR or IFR. Let's talk about IFR. In Mexico, you're going to have to fly airways. There's no other way around it.
There's no VFR, really.
There is, but it's totally different. So if you're flying IFR, you're going to be flying the airways. Below 10,000, there's very limited radar coverage. So
Is that because of the mountains or
because
just,
mountains and they just don't have the infrastructure.
Okay.
So in the big cities like Monterrey, Mexico City, Guadalajara, they're going to have radar service. But once you get 50 miles outside of their airspace, you're going to lose radar contact and you're going to be navigating with the airways. And if you're in central Mexico, some of the MEAs for the airways are 15,000, 16,000.
Oh, I'm not getting up there with my Warrior.
So we can't get our Cherokee that high. So you either go all around Mexico if you want to go to some specific place, or you just got to wait for a pretty day and fly VFR, and that you can do at 10,000 without a problem.
Okay. Are the controllers typically really nice?
Yes, I've never encountered any mean controller or angry controller. So yeah, they're okay. Again, they have their own aviation style and lingo, and sometimes it's hard to understand it. I've had times in which I've asked them in Spanish and English to give me that instruction that they want me to do, and I just don't know what they want.
Okay.
So I play along, and eventually they'll say, "Oh, I want you to turn downwind," but they'll call it initial instead of downwind.
Okay. Do they have the same airspaces down there? Bravo, Charlie, Delta, et cetera?
No, they use the ICAO airspace system. So I believe they call that a terminal control area, CTM. They have a lot of TMAs. So it's different. But some of the airports have what would be the equivalent of a Class Delta airspace.
Okay.
But there are no Bravos or Charlies. Those are just bigger airports with different radar systems. But you don't need to clear into the Bravo airspace to get into Mexico City, for instance.
Gotcha. Okay, that's interesting.
They do say Bravo.
They
No,
don't.
they don't.
Oh. They don't.
You
Well, I thought you just said you have to hear clear in the
No,
Bravo.
you do not.
You do not
You
have
do
to.
not, because they don't have a Bravo airspace in Mexico.
Yeah, you could plow through Mexico City, I guess, without getting
Being intercepted.
Yeah, that too. That's interesting.
Okay, what about, having not flown anywhere other than the United States, and I've heard stories of like Europe and how expensive and everything else. Can I just come down and pick a field and do some touch and goes? Am I going to what are the fees like?
So For most airports, the fees are very small. You can pay around $10 or the equivalent of $10 a night to park on the ramp.
Okay.
So it's
That's
pretty
very
cheap.
comparable to United States.
However, if you use an FBO, the FBOs are very expensive.
Okay.
Just to park outside, you can expect to pay anywhere between $80 to $100 a night.
Oh, my.
Okay.
But most airports, with the exception of maybe 2 airports, do not require you to use an FBO, so you can just park on the GA ramp and you'll be good to go. As far as doing touch and goes, yeah, you can definitely do touch and goes, but you have to file a flight plan. Even if you're flying VFR, even if you're staying in the local area, you still need to do a flight plan. So unlike us, we can't just get in the airplane and go fly and come back whenever you want. You have to have some sort of itinerary as to what you want to do during that flight.
That is really interesting.
And I have an example of what a flight plan looks like.
Here, hand it to me and I'll hold it for the camera while you talk about it.
Okay. Oh, yeah. That's interesting.
So that's a standard ICAO flight plan, but notice the stamps.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. What are the
Right.
stamps about?
So once you complete the flight plan, you need to visit several offices within the airport to have them
Oh, no.
approved.
You can't just
So this is
file
not
it on
electronic?
ForeFlight?
No, there's no electronic. So you have to
goodness.
file on paper, and you have to visit several offices within the airport to have all of them approve the flight plan. And once you have all of the stamps, you are good to go.
How long does this process take you? You just want to fly down for tacos, right? Tacos and touch and goes.
So
How long does this take?
So this whole process, it varies by airport. It can go as quick as 20 minutes, and I've had to wait as long as over an hour to go from office to office to get the stamps.
Okay, I guess that's not terrible, but sometimes I just want to go beat up the
Yes.
pattern or whatever, and it doesn't sound like I'd be able to do that.
Right, right.
Okay. That is really interesting. Well, what if I just want to fly through Mexico to get to another country?
Yeah,
Like,
what if I want to go to Costa Rica?
So that is a whole different thing. You can fly through Mexico without a problem. You just need to speak to the controllers, of course. However, if you're not going to be landing in Mexico, you need to pay overflight fees.
Okay. Over.
And I believe that's the regulation for most countries, maybe even the U.S. I just haven't actually researched that. But it's a fee that you pay to the federal government, and you're supposed to calculate how much you owe, and you're supposed to mail this payment in. And
Like taxes.
supposedly- Yes, and supposedly, if you don't make this payment and you fly into Mexico 20 years later, they'll say, hey, this tail number owes so many dollars, and you can't file your flight plan until you pay that.
So only do that, only ditch the check, walk the check if you're about to sell your plane.
oh my goodness. There you go.
That's what you're saying.
Yes, yes.
Oh my. What type of navigation aids, other than the radar service above 10,000 feet, are available to VFR and IFR pilots there?
VORs. They have a very large network of VORs throughout the country. Most of the airports have VOR approaches, and that's what they have the most. They
Not
do have-
RNAV GPS approaches?
Yeah, they do. They do have a couple of ILSs at the big airports. And as of about 2 years ago, they're starting to implement RNP approaches, which is a type of RNAV-based satellite approaches. That's another story. So in order to fly RNP approaches in Mexico, you need to have a special permit. And the verbiage when the regulation was written stated that even if you're a Part 91 pilot, you need to have this permit. And the FAA says that if you're a Part 91 pilot, you don't need the permit. So there's that discrepancy between the two regs from Mexico and the U.S. So again, I did the homework. It took me about half a year. But as far as I know, I'm the first and probably the only pilot from the San Antonio FISTO to actually have been able to get that letter of approval from the FISTO to fly RNP approaches in Mexico.
That's amazing.
Wow.
Oh my
what,
goodness.
What are some of the coolest places that you've flown to in Mexico?
Tampico, Veracruz.
They're the best tacos?
I was just about to say, we need to know where the best tacos are.
Well, for the best tacos, you definitely got to go to Mexico City. But places like Tampico and Veracruz that are in the coast, they have really good shrimp, really good seafood, and I'm huge into shrimp, so I'm always down for that. In Monterrey, they have what is called el cabrito, which is a goat, and they make tacos out of cabrito, out of goat. It sounds kind of weird, but
It sounds scary,
it
actually.
sounds scary, but it's very delicious.
Okay. I would not be adverse to that. It's in a taco.
Yes.
So, okay. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. This has been really informational. I'm a little bit scared, but I think utilizing some of those resources you talked about, I know there's a website, Baja Bush Pilots, and there's a few of them out there. They're very helpful.
And if I may mention,
Please.
I have a website as well. I'm trying to advocate to get U.S. pilots to fly to Mexico. It's really safe and it's fun and it's an adventure. It's flygamexico.com.
Oh.
I'm still working on the website, but I plan to have step-by-step instructions on how the average pilot can fly to Mexico and direct links to download and get the FCC license and all of that
Cool.
stuff.
Oh,
Just to
perfect.
make it easy.
Well, what I'll do then is in the description below, I'll put that website.
Awesome.
Great. Well, thank you again so much. Really appreciate it. All right, you guys, you heard it. Have you ever flown into Mexico? Would you ever want to fly into Mexico? Leave your comments below.
And if you have mean comments, leave them for Christy. Leave
Oh
them
my
below
gosh.
In Spanish.
As always, we really appreciate you guys. Like, subscribe, share, and we'll see you next time.
In the hangar.